The following podcast has been rated PGN. Parental guidance is neglected.
Boy, it's been a long time since we've had a little father-son chat.
I am your father.
Father, if you can hear me, I failed.
Don't let your mother smell that beer on your breath. She'll take it out on me.
I'm here with my dad.
I know what you're gonna say, son. And you're right. You're right.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I've abandoned my boy!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Parental Guidance Neglected, or NPR, because I seem to be doing a very. I feel like I just started an NPR radio show. I feel like I'm talking very.
You did
calm.
a lot of dramatic pauses in the intro.
I did. I made an artistic choice. That's what we do here on this podcast.
And
we
it
do
failed.
every episode in a different style.
It failed miserably.
Next week will be.
Next week we're
1920s silent film.
Oh, we're gonna
gonna
mime the
do-
podcast. That's one way.
Yeah.
That's one way to force people to watch our podcast on YouTube instead of just listening.
Would just be to do it silently.
Right. Of course, you can watch it on YouTube, listen on Spotify and all other major podcast platforms, and of course, follow us on Instagram and subscribe on YouTube and give us a good review on Spotify and all those, and DM us.
Do you watch any other podcasts?
I am a huge fan. A comedian friend of mine, Jimmy Pardo, he's probably one of the originals. I mean, he's been doing it back like when Corolla was just starting and everything. His podcast is called Never Not Funny. I listen to that religiously.
And you've been on it as well.
I have. I've been on it a couple times. We both have the same manager. That's listen. I don't get on anything unless it's a friend or we have mutual business acquaintances.
Right. Yeah.
No one is clamoring to get an ex-Disney dad right now on their podcast. And you know what? Their loss.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I've
out.
done some other podcasts over the years.
You have. You've done the rounds.
Yeah, and I had another podcast called Critically Yours that I did for a couple of years, and then really just had to stop because one, I made the mistake, Jackson, of like every week I had to have 2 guest stars. So
yeah, that would kill me.
Yeah, it's
so
like
fast.
So I went through my Rolodex of friends in the industry who are much more successful than I am, and called in every favor, and I probably dug myself into a little bit of a hole. Going, the format is to
That's
have
crazy.
2.
And just out of curiosity, how many times was I invited on the podcast?
I'm sorry. How many TV shows have you been on? Although you did have a national.
I was
commercial
in
campaign.
a Cafe Rio commercial. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Put some respect on my name.
Yeah, the whole family.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, we're speaking of during the pandemic. I think I bet we were one of the first. There was nothing filming. There was no movies, no TV, nothing. And they cast our entire family in a commercial for a restaurant chain called Cafe Rio, kind of a Mexican restaurant, burrito place. And they filmed, we did a few rounds, and they filmed them in our house, and this was during the pandemic. And this is when there was like COVID protocol and COVID officers running around and masks and shields, and it was pretty nuts.
Which, by the way, I am now I've now for almost a year, and I've been a certified COVID officer. So.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, industry heads. I don't even know.
Is that a good paying job?
Is that even a thing anymore?
Is that a job that's going to be around in, say, another year?
I don't know. Am I going to have to get monkeypox certified now, or is that just the same deal?
I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out very soon.
Once again, you're just so you know, you just completely froze on my screen for like a good 15-20 seconds. Is that going to be okay? When we edit all this together?
My camera just does that. The audio will be fine. Video is kind of a mashup.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
It's just the way it is.
I can't hear you at all.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, your audio's dropping out, and your video keeps freezing.
Okay. How we looking?
Now you look really good.
Okay.
God, God, this is gonna look so amateurish. Or can you fix this in post?
I can't fix it in post, but I'll make some cuts.
You're gonna make it work.
We'll make it look pretty.
Okay.
I'll make it work.
You're still freezing video-wise a little bit over here. Like you're a little glitchy. Like you're a little matrixy. You know.
I don't know. Let me make sure my audio is still good. Guys, we're just listen. If there's one thing you can say about this podcast, it's that we're transparent and we're honest, and I think that's an admirable trait to have.
Yeah. What is that? What's that floating around over your left-hand shoulder up near the ceiling? What is it? Like in your frame? What is? Yeah, up there. Turn around. What is that?
Oh.
Yeah. What is that?
I didn't even know.
There's like a little thing hanging in the frame. What is that? What kind of? What is that? A Bible? What is that?
It's a picture book. It's a picture book.
It's a picture book. It looks like a. Yeah. Well, now the tassel's still hanging. It's driving me nuts. Look at the little tassel.
It's not.
My God, it's bad enough that you're freezing, and no one's. Every week I say watch us on YouTube, and they're gonna be like, one, they're not even gonna see you, and when they do see you, there's a tassel hanging in front of your face.
Oh my God.
That's why my set is simple. Look at me, a dartboard.
That is true.
And a poster.
Poster and dartboard.
You got now.
I went a little too extreme.
You're going green this week. I like that.
I'm going green this week.
It's Sunday. We normally try to record this on Saturdays, but Jackson, you have been busy all weekend filming something. You and some of your college buddies and mutual friends.
Yeah.
Said you had about a month left before you go back to school. You're all bored as hell. How many more times can you shotgun White Claws? You're like, so now we have to. We got to find something constructive to do to say something came out of the summer. So you guys have been filming. You wrote a little something, and you're filming it. How did the shoot go?
It went well. We were a little bit behind. We got a little bit behind. But we made it work. We made it work. We combined some shots and we made it work.
Did you make the budget? Did you get everything in under the studio? Did the studio?
We got it under budget.
You didn't have to go to the studio and ask for more money. And
we didn't. No.
And by studio, I mean me. Like when I get a call, Dad, we need to buy something.
The only thing I spent money on was $10 for prop video games that we didn't even end up using because we had to use blank ones anyways.
And you didn't even use them. What is the name of this project? Do we have a title yet, or is it a work in progress?
It's called Searching.
Searching.
Mm-hmm.
Searching. And this is going to be a short film. What do you think the total running time of the first cut will be? Is the first cut going to be what, 2.5 hours, and then you whittle it down?
Yeah. We're gonna try to get to around 2, but it's gonna be
studio likes them at like $140. Okay, $145.
They do. But look, I mean, I just don't want them getting in the way of this creative endeavor. But no, it should probably be. I have a feeling it'll be like around 3 minutes. It's very short. It's not very substanceful. It's more of just like, hey, well, it's kind of just like a campy horror thing that we all just like, yeah, we'll make a cute little campy horror thing.
Campy horror thing. All right.
But we had some really cool shot ideas and stuff, and we're doing a little bit of VFX stuff too. Yeah. That came out really well so far.
That's a tough genre. That's a tough genre to do, campy horror. I think the last big campy horror movie that I saw was the Foo Fighters one, the Studio 666, and it was.
I heard that was not great. Yeah.
Horrible. So campy horror sometimes is tough. So good luck with that. When will we see it? When's the premiere? Have we rented a theater?
Hopefully we're gonna try to have it done before I go back to school. So hopefully August, like late August, August 25th at the latest, I would say.
Yeah, that's when you go back, right? And
maybe because my school hasn't let me know yet.
Yeah, I think that's when you're going back. Yeah, probably. I will not be there the weekend that you go back to school because I'll be up in Oregon doing an adventure race. Here's the thing.
Me and my poor mother are going to have to drag everything up. I'm on the 4th floor.
Here's the thing. When you went off to college after you graduated high school, that was a big deal. Now I don't really care anymore. It's not like it's not. No. My son's not going off to school.
I'm not mad that you're not there because I want to see you. I'm mad that you're not there to help carry heavy things up.
And by heavy things, you mean your ridiculously large vinyl collection. Let's be honest. Yeah, you can see it there in the back. Look at that. Yeah, cover it. Although it could be a lot worse. But yeah,
it could be a lot worse.
I've seen much worse. What is
or better, depending on how you look at it.
What is the one record that were I to destroy it during a move? Like I went, Jackson.
Oh my God!
Everything went fine, but unfortunately, we lost this LP from.
So I have a box set.
A box set.
So it's like a little box, like a box that has like
Jackson. I know what a box set is, for God's. I was buying box sets.
I'm not explaining it for you. We're a podcast with viewers. I have to explain it to those who don't know.
They probably know what a box set of records is.
It's the most money I've ever spent on like a personal item for myself.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
It means so much to me, and if that happened to get there's like a little paper thing on the side, and I accidentally cut part of it, and it ruined my day. Just completely ruined my day. I was distraught.
And what is the name of this box set that is the holy grail of your collection?
It's the microphones, entirely everything. It's like their whole discography.
This is a good segue into a very exciting announcement we have to make.
People aren't supposed to know that yet. I'll cut that part out though. It's okay.
Oh.
Just stay tuned for next episode.
Okay, you know what? You don't need to cut anything. I'm not going to say anything further.
Okay. That's fair.
I'm just, and it could be a tease. We may or may not have a guest star next week, and
we will see. We'll see how things go.
We'll see what happens next week. It's going to be an exciting episode, though, and one that I'll probably completely mess up. Yeah, it's the PGN podcast, Parental Guidance Neglected. 2 generations, father and son, talking movies and whatever. Very excited about the film that you're working on, Jackson. And 4 more weeks till I get you back out of my home and we can start doing this.
Counting down the days.
Yeah. Because again, right now, he is literally right above me in his bedroom. Yes. His bedroom, my future gym. It was kind of a weird week. It was kind of a weird week for us. I had a race. You had a film that you were working on. You had a couple of like art house screenings that you went to and hanging out with friends and stuff. So we were kind of all over the map. We basically told you guys last week we're going to just try to see what we can see and what we can't. It was a small week for openings. I'll get us started then. The only really big mainstream movie that opened last week, still steering clear, can't talk today, of Jordan Peele's Nope, was a movie called Vengeance. It opened pretty wide. This is a smaller film. It is written, directed by, and starring Mr. B.J. Novak, who most people would know from The Office. Jackson, who did he play on The Office? Because you watched it. I didn't. I never really... Ryan. He also was one of the, I think, executive producers of The Office from the beginning. I think that was his big title. But he was on camera as well. This is a film I guess he's been working on for years, a passion project. No other really huge names in this movie except for the exception of Ashton Kutcher is in this.
Ashton Kutcher was in this?
Yes, he is. Dove Cameron, who I think is a Disney star. Boyd Holbrook, who you would recognize from maybe Logan or the movie The Predator. Issa Rae from the TV show Insecure, and J. Smith Cameron, who... I think is just a recent Emmy nominee for Succession. She's fantastic on that. So it's kind of a mixed bag of character actors and faces that you kind of recognize from different things. It is a comedy, thriller, drama, road picture, murder mystery, revenge pick. I got to see it. Jackson unfortunately did not. Before I give you my complete thoughts, Jackson, what were your takes on B.J. Novak in general? What you've seen him do on The Office, and what did you think from the trailer? I don't think you were that excited to see this, or is this something you're still clamoring to see, or bummed that you didn't get to?
So as for B.J. Novak in general, like I know you really don't like him. I think I'm just kind of fine on him. I don't think I've ever been like shocked, like, oh my god, he was so good in this. Like, he just kind of is there, and he plays the straight man pretty well in a lot of things, and he did play the douchey businessman pretty well on The Office. I'll give him that much. As for Vengeance itself, I think that I was kind of the same way I was on BJ Novak with that movie, where I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, if I get a chance to see it, I'll see it, but I don't think I wouldn't be first in line at a screening for it or anything.
Yeah.
Interesting story. I think the concept looked really cool. Writing, directing, producing, and starring in your own movie, a little bit where I'm like, okay, we're doing a lot here, man.
Yeah.
We're wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Let someone else take over one of the roles at least. You don't need to be in full, which I respect it, but like collaboration, man. Let's work together on something. But then again, I didn't see it, so tell me what you think.
I can tell you that he definitely wore one hat too many, and I feel fairly confident in saying the hat he should have taken off was the acting one.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
The script is fine. It's well written. He obviously likes very snappy dialogue. Sometimes you can it's a little too. There's a whole opening scene with him and John Mayer talking about scoring with women and Instagram, and it just feels like it's jokey setup. But his dialogue, he can write very good dialogue, and as a director, I don't think he brought anything immensely special to the table, but it's sharp and everything looks very well done. The big problem with Vengeance is BJ Novak in the lead role. He is fine, but he is not exceptional. And I feel like a lot of the comedy was really flat. There was at least 3 or 4 times where I thought, I think in the hands of a better comedic actor, that line, which was very funny, could have landed better. Landed a lot better.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like sometimes he threw away too much. It's like everything does not have to be so super dry.
He does do that a lot, where it's like very dry, just like say it.
Yeah, it's very minimalistic, his performance, and at times it's too much. And I know that this movie, which involves, without giving away too much, this is kind of a young hipster. He's not really that young anymore, so he's probably should have got someone a little bit younger. Young hipster who's dating around and sleeping with a bunch of girls, and then hookups, as they call them, or as your generation does, and then gets a phone call one day from the family of one of the girls that he had hooked up with once or twice. She had informed her family that she was actually in love with him, and this was her boyfriend, but to him it was just one of many, and she has been possibly murdered in this small town of Abilene in Texas. So it's immediately a fish out of water. This kid from New York, young Jewish writer from New York, is thrown into all these stereotypes of Texas, where everything's coming what you're expecting. He doesn't fit in at the rodeo. He doesn't fit in at the Whataburger. So there's a lot of him blending in with the family. The movie takes a very dark and unpredictable twist at the end, a la the title Vengeance. There is a bit of a mystery and whodunit to it. It may or may not have been foul play. I won't give that away. So it does take kind of an odd and dark twist at the end. It's a slightly better than average film. I don't want to go on forever. A for effort. BJ Novak really needs to sit back, hone his craft as a writer and director, and I think work with slightly better performers in front. Vengeance gets a C for me. Solid C.
All
average.
right.
Average.
What was the runtime?
It was about an hour 48. Just shy.
How was it paced? Because it felt like there was at least the trailer made it seem like a lot was happening.
It's a slow burn at first. There's a ton of scenes of him on the phone, calling back to his editor, producer at the magazine. He writes for the New Yorker, Issa Rae, and those things really kind of drag on. It's a bit of a I don't want to say a narcissistic piece, but it is a bit of it's a showcase for him. But he is smart enough to surround himself with some pretty good actors. Everyone in this is good. Yeah. Dove Cameron was actually good. The Disney girl, Boyd Holbrook. Everyone does fantastic, except for unfortunately,
the man of the hour,
the man behind it. And again, not bad, but nothing to write home about. A little bit of an off week as we kind of come. It's weird because I remember back in the day, there was a huge movie every weekend in the summer. And now it seems like you get Doctor Strange, and then everyone takes a weekend off and lets Doctor Strange have his space.
There's breaks.
You know? And then Thor has
I think part of it is just people don't want to go to movie theaters as much, so I think spacing out make it seem like you have more time of not going to the movies, if that makes sense, to make you want to go back more, which, whatever.
I mean, there was a big film that opened.
I'm fine with it, because I think it gives smaller movies a chance to shine more.
Yeah.
Have their, their weekend debut without being bombarded by Jurassic World fans or things like that, but it is annoying. I do agree with you.
Yeah, there was a big film this weekend. It was that Super Pets thing, but I think we both agree we hate it, and we're never going to see it, and we're going to hate it anyways, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
But if for some reason you did see DC's Super Pets or League of Pets or League of the Super Pets or whatever it's called, and put a comment on here and tell us, like, hey, you guys are idiots. You should have seen it. It's so adorable. And then we will laugh and make fun of you and block you. Yeah.
And then afterwards do some self-reflection and think, why am I the way I am? And that's
why am I the way I am?
That's a good question I think you should be asking yourself. So while he did not get a chance to go see Vengeance, I did get a chance to go see the recently released documentary Fire of Love that I think we were both very interested in seeing. I was surprised that you picked Vengeance over Fire of Love. I'm not sure if it was a scheduling thing, but
I think it was more I knew I was only going to get to see one, and I knew you had already seen
and you knew I had
Fire
seen
of Love.
Okay, that's smart.
I figured we'd cover a little bit more ground, and
we get some variety going.
And also the kind of thing where it's like I could tell you, hey, I don't know if you need to bother with Vengeance, and maybe you'll tell me. I don't know what you're going to say. You might go, oh my God, Dad, you've got to go see this on the big screen, or wait for it, or don't even bother. So I thought maybe this week we'd just cover a little bit more ground. Fire of Love, for anyone who hasn't seen the trailer or seen the movie, is a documentary about, am I right, Jackson? A couple who bonds and falls in love over their desire to study volcanoes as close as possible.
Yeah, so the documentary actually did cover this. There's not really a known... People don't know for sure how they met. The leading theory is the most well-told story, I guess, is that they met on a blind date at a cafe, and then happened to just bond over their love for volcanology, or the study of volcanoes.
Not the study of volcanoes from Star Trek?
Not the study of Vulcans.
Oh,
that is a common misconception. Yeah.
I thought this was the love of Vulcans.
It's just two Star Trek fans that just fall in love. Yeah.
I completely misunderstood the trailer. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, so documentary Fire of Love. I'm gonna start off with a criticism, because I did really like this, but I want to kind of get the negative bits out of the way.
We are critics, so you can be critical.
We are. That is true.
That's the nature of the word.
The one thing that kept me from absolutely loving this documentary was that it lacked a bit of narrative structure, I think.
Okay.
It was very almost like slice of life-y in the way that you just kind of go through, like, from when they met to the point when they actually unfortunately passed away while studying a volcano.
And by the way, I don't think you're giving anything away by saying that. It's even in the trailer that they eventually...
It's the trailer starts saying that they die on a volcano.
Yes. So you're not giving...
And it's also real life, so I don't really count it as a spoiler because it actually happened.
Right.
So, yeah. And it's basically they just kind of cover that time span of when they met to when they died, which is a really interesting concept. I just think that if they had really kind of focused in on one aspect of it, because they kind of did a lot of changing between, like, oh, here's what volcanology is happening that's completely separate from them, and then here's the couple and they're still together, because there was never really a rocky moment for them. They're fully in love the whole time as far as the documentary is concerned. Like, there's never like a period in their relationship where things get tricky.
So it's
more of just like, here's different sections of their life until the point when they die.
So what you're saying is nothing bad ever erupted in their relationship?
Oh,
thank you.
But that was good.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you.
He will be here all night, ladies and gentlemen.
Appreciate that.
What
did you? Which aspect of the film did you find more interesting? Their relationship story, or things that or did you learn anything about volcanoes or the study of volcanoes?
I learned a lot about volcanoes, and I think that was definitely the more interesting part, because, like I said, there wasn't really. It was kind of like they fell in love and they stayed in love. There was a little bit of kind of like, I'm blanking on both of their names. I apologize for that. But the woman in the relationship was kind of more careful. She was more into studying like the smaller things, like on a chemical level, like what's happening. Whereas the man was more focused on like we really need to get close to these things and the big picture.
So the man
and it does end up coming together at the very end, being like, hey. There was a really, I can't remember where, but there was a very catastrophic volcanic eruption in some South American country that caused a landslide that killed like 20,000 people. And after that, the two of them kind of came together to be like, hey, we need to make sure this never happens again because the government's just kind of ignored our warning signs.
Yeah.
So, I think it did, but towards the end, it did start coming together a bit more. But for a majority of the film, it was very back and forth between like, here's volcanology and the relationship's still good. But it was very interesting just to see how they live their lives, very on the fly, rarely settling down, just moving from eruption to eruption, studying as much as they can. And at the end of the day, their work did save a lot of lives. The films that they made up close were sent around to governments that were, I guess, in need of it, that had like active volcanoes and somewhere in their realm, and it helped a lot of people. So.
Let me ask you this. There was a great documentary several years ago called Grizzly Man.
I believe I heard about this. I've heard of it. I don't know about it, though.
Yeah, Grizzly Man is about kind of this nut job guy who went out and, quote unquote, lived among and bonded with and studied grizzly bears in the wild. And yeah, he was a bit of a hippie weirdo, and he would name the bears and point to them and good morning. Like they're out in the field, and you're like, this idiot is just going to keep getting closer and closer and closer to these bears, and something's going to happen. And sure enough, one night, him and his girlfriend,
I did hear about this, yeah,
who studies with him, they were both mauled and eaten by bears in the woods. And a lot of people were like, that idiot man got this woman killed. Was there a moment in this film where did they die because of the man's? Because you said that he's the guy who was really interested in getting up close and personal.
No, yeah.
Was there some blame? Were they equal to blame in their demise, or did you feel like? No, if it hadn't been for him insisting that they get to the rim of or whatever it is,
and they weren't even close to it when they died, actually. So, kind of the way it happened was neither of them.
Don't give it away. I mean,
I won't. And like I said, I don't consider this happened in real life like 30 years ago. So
gotcha.
The work that the couple did, they both agreed that they needed to get close to these things, especially, like I said, when they started realizing that they needed to save lives, because without somebody getting that close, nothing was going to change, and people were just going to keep dying of volcanoes. The way it happened, as the way it was described in the documentary, was that they were in some Asian country, and a volcano was about to erupt, and they all the scientists, because it wasn't just them, it was them and a couple of other scientists, were off the side of the mountain taking videos of it. And they completely like misread, I guess, what was happening, and the eruption happened more straight towards them, and a pile of ash just completely covered them. And it made it seem like a good ending, though, because it was kind of like they died doing what they loved together, very close together, saving lives. Their work lives on within them. So it wasn't more of like a look at these idiots who are making friends with volcanoes. It was like these are scientists doing their jobs to save lives, doing what they love with the people that they love. That just happened to end in a very unfortunate tragedy. But it was I haven't gotten to this part yet. The entire thing is archival footage, and it is so cool to watch, because it's really, I mean, you never really get to see like
volcanoes up that close.
Volcanoes look like up that close,
right.
And they really are that close.
Yeah.
And I mean, all the footage has been, I guess, like restored, as they say nowadays, because it's old film from the 90s, but it looks just fantastic. And the two people have so much character. I mean, like I said, it does lack some narrative, but just watching the two of them interact, have fun in these near-death, excruciatingly harsh conditions, is really, really fun to watch. Also, there's just some really great lines in there too, like just some really, just cool moments. Yeah.
All right.
I think I told some of this. It really just is a beautiful documentary about some very beautiful people, and I appreciate that for what it is.
All right. What do you score it, and is it worth seeing on the big screen?
It definitely is worth seeing on the big screen. I think it is. If not just to learn something and just to see those those two people and their interesting lives.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to learn anything. What if I?
Then don't. You know what? Then don't go see it.
What if I just?
That's just if you do, it's worth watching. If you're going in it looking for like more of a story of their relationship, I wouldn't. But if you're looking kind of to see like, oh, this is how these people like live their lives as volcanologists together, I think that's definitely worth seeing.
Right.
And for that, I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Right. Do they ever encounter the Klingons, or is it just the Vulcans?
I think that's going to be in the sequel.
That's the sequel. Huh?
That's the sequel. Yeah.
All right.
So that should be coming soon.
Did they ever find an Infinity Stone in any of the volcanoes, or
there's an end credit scene where
and then is there a teaser a teaser scene at the end?
A teaser scene
where you see a hand just come out of the volcano, just wait a minute, maybe.
And then it cut
survived.
to black and it said, "This couple will return." Like those the Marvel movies.
The couple shall return. Wow.
I hate how they do that in the Marvel movies too, because sometimes it's kind of their way of like confirming who will be back. Like, Thor will be back in the next installment. It's like just let someone. Well, okay.
I just always wish they would put like James Bond will return if this movie makes enough money. Box office. It's like you don't know for sure. You're so cocky to put that on the end.
Air.
Like you don't even have a script yet, and you're just saying his return. What if everyone hates this film? I guarantee you, then he will not return.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, Vengeance gets a solid C for me. I think you can wait for video on that one. But Jackson says, Fire of Love, a documentary about a couple who studies volcanoes, is pretty cool to see on a big screen, and pretty intriguing story, and gave it a solid 7, 8. Would you?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Yeah. So I may have to go grab that and see that one as well.
That would be a good one for you to mom to go to. I think she'd like it a lot.
That's a date one right there.
It's a day one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Well, I'll see if. Just to be clear, though, none of them have superpowers, right? There's no.
No. So maybe not worth seeing actually.
No superpowers. We were making fun of DC's League of Pets because it's so obvious that look, it's a movie. We've done enough movies about superheroes. Here's a movie about the pets of superheroes, and I'm like, you know what? They couldn't.
So lazy.
It's like there's enough with this already. And sure enough, I'm watching trailers today. And one of the trailers, I sent Jackson a link for a bunch of them. We've seen a bunch of them. Like, here's a few you haven't seen. There was a link. I don't know if you got to this one. I don't even remember the name of it. All I know it was about superhero kids, where now it's like Owen Wilson is like an Iron Man superhero, but now
did you recognize the main kid in it?
I know the African American kid was from.
It was the kid from the Adam Project with. Ryan
was
Reynolds.
it? Okay,
it was the same kid.
All
yeah.
right, and the African American kid is the one from the Good Guys or the Good Boys or like that R-rated comedy that came out a couple years ago with the boy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my god, it's a movie about the kids of superheroes, and they're gonna become superheroes, and I'm just like,
And then there's the trailer for the God, you're gonna kill me for not knowing this guy's name. Rocky, the guy who plays Rocky, Sylvester Stallone,
Samaritan.
And he's like a retired.
Now it's a retired superhero
working with a kid.
Yes, and he's like, hey, you used to be a superhero. Kid, I've hung up my cape, but sure enough, now we have
the only
citizen.
piece. Yeah, the only piece of superhero related content that is even remotely close to original is The Boys. You need to. I'm almost done with season 3.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's so laughing my ass off. It's so good.
Okay, so here's what I can tell you about The Boys. This is the Amazon Prime show, and we can talk TV because this is our podcast, and we don't really give a shit about the 4 of you that are listening, anyways. I have not had time to make it through The Boys because I've been busy watching Severance, which I bet we're going to get to in just a second.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah.
But Jackson, being as obnoxious as he is, went ahead and started The Boys without me. I love season 1 of The Boys, which is kind of the anti-superhero television show on Prime about what if all these superheroes were actually narcissistic, drug-addicted, homicidal, fame seekers. I absolutely loved the first season. I enjoyed the second season of The Boys. I thought it dipped a little bit.
I agree. I agree.
I thought it was fun and fine, but nowhere near as good as 1. I'm hearing good things about season 3. You're telling me things are good about season 3, but I'm afraid it's too much hype.
Yeah.
I'm afraid people are hyping it too much.
I don't think so. And I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but here's what I'll say. The writers are so good at putting in political commentary, but kind of without doing it at the same time. Like, there's been a lot of kind of, I'll call them COVID references.
Right.
Where it's like you're hearing the same talking points, but it has nothing to do with the pandemic or anything. Okay. And they do it in I was literally laughing my ass off because there was just so much good. They put in like they just had a lot of good political references in it, and I appreciated that. And it's just interesting. And Anthony Starr is so good this season. He is just incredible.
Which one is he? Homelander.
He plays Homelander. He is he just could not play that role any better.
He's pretty nuts.
Like I said, we'll see. I haven't finished it yet. I do think there's going to be another season. I feel like that's just what's going to happen. But
if people watch it, they will. I'll tell you the one thing that shied me away from this season, and you tell me if it's going to make me mad. And I'm not giving it away because it was in the trailer for season 3. I could tell that the storyline was going, what if some of these characters who aren't superheroes suddenly got superpowers?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think that's a horrible idea. It's like, I like the fact that this team of regular guys is trying to take down these superheroes. I don't now, if you're going to take all the regular human beings and give them superpowers, then we're just watching Civil War and a Marvel movie with, superheroes fighting superheroes with powers.
Yeah.
And I thought
you'll have to see because I
don't know how heavy
finished
it
the
goes
season
that
yet,
way.
so I can't. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it hasn't gotten there, but I know that what's his name? If you watch the trailers, the main
Butcher.
Butcher. I know he's going to end up with powers of some kind, and I'm like, there's going to be a formula where now we can turn anyone into a superhero, and I'm just like, I don't know, but I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, cool.
But I did finish Severance. For those who don't know, Severance is an Apple TV show. If you haven't heard of it, you're going to pretty soon because I think it received a ton of Emmy nominations. Every actor I'm about to say, John Turturro, Christopher Walken, Adam Scott, I can't remember the young lady's name, Patricia Arquette, I know.
Who plays Hallie? I can't
the
remember.
writing, the directors, Ben Stiller is the executive producer and directed most of the episodes. It's received a ton of Emmy nominations.
Britt Lower is Hallie's name in real life.
My buddy Shane Nickerson, who is a TV producer for the big show Ridiculousness, he turned me onto this and said, Regan, you absolutely have to watch this show. I was like, it looks a little kooky for me, but he forced me to. What's funny is that I watched a couple episodes and immediately I knew my son was going to be into this. I know my son. I was like, Jackson, if you like Black Mirror and you like dark and a little twisted and funny and shot really well and written really well, this is your thing. So I turned my son onto it. He blazed through it and then was like, Dad, you got to finish it. You got to finish it. I was, and my frustration level, I was feeling like it was a little bit like Lost at first. It's one of those shows, it has a lot of questions, a lot of weirdness. You're going to hit a point where you go, I don't know what's going on. I want to know what's going on. And luckily, at the end of the first season, the 9 episodes, they answered a couple of questions and enough for me to not hate
enough to keep you going.
Enough to keep me going. There's still a lot of things that don't make sense. I get really nervous with shows like this that throw up so much mystery and weirdness, and then I'm like, you better answer all of this.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't pull a Lost on me here and go, we never really explained the polar bear and the time jump and the hatch and it's just like, you got to break all this down for me, or else I'm going to be mad. I'm very analytical that way. I can't just go, well, you know what? They never really said what that was about, but it doesn't matter because it was the ride. And I'm like, no, I got to know. But with that said, some pretty amazing television, right?
It's so good. It's really, really good. It's like a better shot Black Mirror episode that just happens to be a full season. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. I love Patricia Arquette so much. I love John Turturro so much. I love seeing them in the same project together.
Yeah, they're all.
The score is phenomenal. The cinematography is breathtaking. And just the world that they create for these characters is really, really something else.
Ben Stiller is a fantastic director. He directed, which to my opinion to this day is still the best Jim Carrey movie of all time, The Cable Guy. It's so underrated. It's so underrated. It's so dark.
I gotta see that still,
and so funny. And people are just like, I don't know. I don't like when he talks out of his butt. I'm like, no. And then Ben Stiller directed the miniseries that Patricia Arquette won an Emmy for, Escape from Dan Mora, or the prison film, I can't remember, with her and Benicio del Toro, and that was fantastic. He's really starting to prove himself as a fantastic guy behind.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done much in front. I mean, he's obviously.
Well, he did do The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which he did direct and starred in.
He directed that as well, and his director,
which was good.
It was good. It wasn't
It
great.
was good.
Yeah, it was really good to see. But yeah, I don't think he's getting in front, and I like that. And I like. Unlike BJ Novak, when someone goes, I'm going to direct this project, let me focus all my energy on that and not worry about what I'm going to...
It looks so good. It works so well.
Yeah.
It works so well.
So Severance, if you have Apple TV or can get a free trial or steal someone's password, do check that out. And then Jackson is, at this point, highly recommending The Boys on season 3.
Yeah. I think season 3 is really worth it. I'm hooked at least. Season 1 will always hold a special place in my heart. It's just because it was so like, oh my god, like I had just never seen superheroes like that.
Yeah.
It was so very original to me. But I still think that season 3 is definitely a close contender for best season so far.
Season 1, the scene where whatever the Flash guy's name is, the guy who runs
A-Train.
The episode 1 when A-Train runs through that guy's girlfriend and just obliterates her. Just set the tone. It was just like, okay,
immediately
you're like, okay, this series,
and then they have the title card come up just like right when he's just like, what the hell
just happened to my girlfriend? Yeah, I agree. Not to get lost in TV minutia, but I'm just letting you know, I just started. I'm way behind the curve on this. Ted Lasso, the Jason Sudeikis one where he's the football coach. I know I'm late to the party, everybody. I know it's been on like 3-4 years. It's won zillion Emmys and Golden Globes and all that, but I don't know. It hasn't hooked me yet. Well,
that's funny. So I didn't start Ted Lasso, but I did just start Barry. I'm a couple episodes into Barry. I don't know if I'm hooked yet either. Maybe I'm.
I know, but okay.
Everyone says that,
now,
but so I feel like something like big needs to happen soon because I'm starting to get we're doing the acting classes.
How many episodes to season 1 of Barry are you in?
Let me check right now. I know I can tell you what part I'm at. Is that you fine with that? I mean, it's been out for a long time.
Yes, season 1.
So he just had he went to go meet up with his old military friends, and one of them was like, I know what you do and I want in, and that's where I left off.
Okay, listen to me. Stick with it. Okay?
Really?
Did I tell you to watch Severance?
Okay, that's fair point. That's a fair point.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Did I tell you to watch Ted? Did I tell you to watch Ted Lasso? No, because I know that won't be it won't be your thing.
Okay, that's fair. I will say I'm loving the Scandinavian guy. I want more of him.
He's going to
be
the
best.
The bald guy. He's going to be a huge part of this, and one word, darker. It's going to get darker. I know
Good,
you like a
because
little dark.
it's so. I'm like,
at first you're like,
gotta
oh, he
get
wants to
there.
be an actor and he's kind of into it in the class. I guarantee you by the end of the first season, and especially the second season, and I think they just started their third, but especially by the time, yeah, it's going to get darker and it's going to get much, much better. I know.
Can I be honest? I'm really the female lead. I'm really not.
You're never gonna like her. I will agree with that. Yeah, the main girl
I'm
in the
really
acting
not
class.
liking her.
Yeah, nope, you're never going to. Again.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, not important. Not important.
Okay. Good to know.
I'm telling you that by the end of the first season, you're gonna go, Bill Hader is pretty damn good. And the second season is when it gets more creative and even darker. So just
all right. I'm taking your word
stick
for
with
it.
Do you like Stephen Root, the guy who plays his boss?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
he's been good so far.
Trust me. If by the end of season 1
I'm trusting the process. Okay. I just hate when shows do that. You have to start.
I do too.
You have to grab me.
I agree 100%. And trust me, if I thought for some reason this wasn't going to come around to you, I would say, yeah, bail. If you're not into it now, bail. But you're going to.
But
you're gonna thank me on that one.
Okay, sounds good.
Here's something that we were not allowed to bail on, and we very much probably wanted to, but thank God it was only an hour and 10 minutes. It was our audience pick for one of the worst films of all time. That's when we turn to you guys, our listeners, and say, make us, torture us, Clockwork Orange, force our eyes open, and make us consume a movie so bad that you had to sit through, that you're going to torture us, and maybe it'll be so bad we might actually enjoy it. Maybe that was the case. Maybe it wasn't with this week's pick, the 2005 horror film, The Gingerdead Man. Recommended by our first family recommendation from your cousin, Cole.
My cousin
Cole, your cousin Cole recommended this. We touched base on it last week. This is a film that somehow got Gary Busey involved.
That was the one thing I came out from this movie is I just want to know how much debt was Gary Busey in to have to do this movie.
He must have been doing a lot of cocaine because someone had.
Because look, there are some fantastic actors that do some horrible movies. Like we were just talking about this, like Robert De Niro has done some horrific work.
Meet the Fockers.
But it's never been
this.
It's never been the Gingerdead Man.
The Gingerdead Man. The Gingerdead Man, which is spawned several sequels that I can't even.
And a spinoff.
Was
with Evil Bong.
Directed by Charles Band, who brought us such classics as Evil Bong, Famous Tits and Ass, and some of the Puppet Masters movies. The guy's working. Tells the story of a serial killer who somehow ends up possessing a gingerbread man cookie and seeking revenge. Jackson, what is the formula, by the way, for getting a serial killer who's been executed into the form of a gingerbread man?
So here's the plan. So the movie starts out with Gary Busey, who's robbing a convenience store, but
a diner.
He's also a murderer.
A diner.
A diner. But he's also a murderer. Mm-hmm. So when an old man stands up for his family, he shoots the old man, and then is kind of like does like a I have to finish what I started thing.
Yeah.
And kills off the brother and shoots the sister, but she's not dead.
Yeah.
Because she ends up coming back. She works at a bakery. Her family owned a bakery.
Right.
And the way that Gary Busey's character decides to come back is a mysterious figure, who, by the way, never comes back, drops off a gingerbread mix that is mixed in with Gary Busey's ashes.
Right.
But in order for Gary Busey to be reborn as the Gingerdead Man,
he was executed. He was caught and executed.
He got the electric chair.
So a mysterious man in a black cloak somehow gets
woman. It's just it's literally you never see their face. Gets
a hold of the serial killer's ashes and leaves them in a box labeled gingerbread spice in the back of a small bakery, right?
But that happening would not cause Gary, because that would be too easy.
That Jackson,
what needs to happen,
right?
is a chef needs to accidentally cut himself with a knife and then perfectly move his hand so that at least 10 drops of blood get into the gingerbread mix.
Get into the gingerbread mix.
He needs to not notice that.
Right.
He needs to not notice that.
So you have
Put it
to
into
have
the mixer.
the ashes of the serial killer, the blood of a random baker, and is that then you get a gingerbread man that comes alive?
No. That would
what
still
else?
not do
What
it,
else do you need to bring a gingerbread man?
Then you need
to life?
an electric circuit to go off, causing. Well, that's what I didn't get, because it's an oven, but there's like 2 antennae coming out of the top of it. And it's kind of one of those things where like, the electricity is coming down.
Yeah, like
and
a
shocks the
like a
gingerbread man
Frankenstein
into being
thing.
alive.
Yeah. So if you can get, if a mysterious person can get a hold of a serial killer's dead ashes, label them gingerbread spice, leave them in a bakery, and the bakery obviously goes, oh, look, someone dropped off gingerbread spice. We'll pour this into our gingerbread mix. Then you can bleed into it, and then there's some kind of electrical surge that causes the oven that's cooking the cookie to shock it to life. That brings a gingerbread
That would
man.
then give you one Gary Busey Gingerdead Man.
How are the special effects in this?
So here's the thing: if you ever want to know how tall the Gingerdead Man is, you'll never find out, because it's very obvious that the Gingerdead Man is just a finger puppet.
It's a sock.
So
puppet,
they don't have any wide shots of the whole character.
No.
It's just face close-ups,
right?
And then like putting him behind things so that you don't have to see the hand.
Well, it looks to be that he might be at the most 12 inches tall. But yet suddenly,
because she brings out this massive
gingerbread cutter
to make it, like she instead of making a bunch of little gingerbread cookies, she makes one giant one for some reason.
Yeah.
But the Gingerdead Man seems like really small, especially in that one scene where the wrestler eats the Gingerdead Man, and then we get kind of the sequel thing happening there.
He also
I had two questions.
Suddenly he's just peering through windows that are like 6 feet off the ground.
Yeah, he just gets up there, and how did he do that?
Does he jump? Was he holding himself up by the ledge? I don't know. What burning questions did you have, Jackson?
Here's the first question.
Okay.
So one of the first events that happen when the Gingerdead Man comes to life. I don't know why, but because it's fun.
Okay, what?
So one of the first events that happens when the Gingerdead Man comes to life is the power goes out.
Yes.
Right. But I don't know if you know this. I guess that doesn't actually turn the lights off, because everyone is just being blasted with light the entire movie. Right. Just like, might as well be daytime.
They're like,
that's the first question.
They're carrying a flashlight through a room that might as well be a completely lit up arena.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right.
Here's my second question. This is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So at the improv team at my school, which I'm on, I don't know if I've mentioned that in the podcast before. We do this thing sometimes called a killer, where you have seven improvisers on the stage, and you do a murder mystery. And during the first scene, one of the most important parts is to do what we call shutting it down, where you have a moment where you realize someone's been murdered, and you lock up the place so that no one can leave.
Yeah.
So
logical.
This bakery, as you pointed out, is situated, first of all, never locked up. They can leave whenever they want. Second of all, they could just go. And second of all, it might be next to the busiest street in town, because just cars flying by the entire movie as they're like, oh my god, what are we going to do? If only someone could help us.
Right, there's this car just like going by. Flag someone down. Call the police.
Because there's that one scene where they're like, oh, her phone's dead, we can't call anyone, but her dad's bakery is right next door, so she's like, I can't call my dad, but he's right next door.
It's right there. It's a busy street.
Yeah, it's
I love
a highly populated area.
I love the fact that there was a tender love moment while her friend was lying on the floor, convulsing with hypothermia.
Well, no. Because why is she convulsing with hypothermia again? Can you remind me why that happened?
She got hypothermia because she got locked in a freezer covered with frosting, and she had little cherry nipples. The Gingerdead Man decided to put cherries on her nipples.
Which okay. Well, here. Okay, what we can accept the Gingerdead Man had a creative way of killing her, whatever. But her friends take her out, and then instead of like cleaning her off and getting her warm, they just lay a blanket on top of the frosting, and then have like their little I really wish that I kissed you way back in kindergarten or whatever that weird backstory was between the two of them.
Yeah. So they make out. Well, she's literally, they cut to a shot of her convulsing on the floor.
Oh yeah, no, she was for sure in shock.
What was your favorite death? What was your favorite death?
My favorite death was probably Did the grandma die?
No, she got her finger cut off.
But then they put her in the oven and they pulled her out. But did they ever? Oh no, she was alive. You're right.
She lived.
I think that was my favorite attack. Because she was just horrible.
Yeah.
Like wow, that was a rough showing for that actress. But that was my favorite attack. My favorite death was probably. That's so difficult. I guess the girl, the kind of the bratty popular girl, just because it was just so funny that she just trips. She hits a tripwire. And then a knife falls from the ceiling and just perfectly stabs her in the center of the forehead.
Right in the forehead. It's like, first of all, she'd have to tilt her head back to look at the knife. And then, of course, that elicits the line, he's booby-trapped every exit. How do you know that? I don't know.
Yeah, what? Or, since that booby trap already... Here's the thing. That booby trap already went off, so just walk out the door. It's already... That one's been... You know it.
Yeah. What did you think of Gary Busey's voice work? As the Gingerdead Man.
Yeah, it was really, really... I wouldn't... It was hilarious, but it almost made me sad going, man, this guy won an Oscar. Like, he was nominated. He was nominated for the highest award in acting on the planet. And here he is... voicing a late into his career, not even like an early needing money thing. It was like a late, didn't have to do this.
Well, I don't know what kind of accountants he has, or do you still want to get into this business? What?
With all that being said, holy shit, was this so fun to watch. It was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
I had this has been my favorite worst movie yet so far because two things. It's in that perfect sweet spot where it's not like what was the one that we just watched? The one where it was like it's not like Street Trash where it's like, oh, this is just racist.
Right.
But it was in that perfect. It was in this perfect like bad but not horrible sweet spot, and it was short. It was short and sweet.
An hour and 10 minutes.
It came and went. It came and went
really quickly. Was it?
Yeah.
Was it? Do you think there is a world in which you will watch Gingerdead Man 2, the Passion of the Crust, or
was it the second or the third one? What was the third one?
And then Gingerdead Man 3, Saturday Night Cleaver,
Saturday Night Cleaver,
right?
Yeah,
or Evil Bong versus Gingerdead Man. Are you sucked into the series, or do you feel like a?
I feel like it's gonna be a one and doneer for me.
One and done.
I don't know if I'm too willing to jump back into this, especially knowing that none of the original characters come back.
Right.
I'm very confused on where this was going to go because the whole plot is centered around that Gary Busey's trying to get revenge on this woman for sending him to the chair.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, and also Gary Busey's not even in it. So I don't know if it's kind of like a different serial killer has somehow got the same formula to work out and is killing a different family, or I don't know. I don't think I'll come back to it, but what do you think?
Yeah. I don't see myself curling up with this. Maybe one night if you and I are drinking a couple beers or something, or hard ciders.
we have an hour
and we have an hour 10 minutes, and we're like, do you want to just see it? Like I could see myself watching it with a fast forward button in my hand. Like, I can't see that. Let's just scroll through and just see where this is going to go. I don't need to see all the
that's a good point.
Stuff. We probably know what was going on. We can make up our own story, so maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, that's fine.
Maybe we'll do that with our viewers. Maybe we'll do like a live stream, like a
live stream of us watching Gingerdead 2.
Yeah, us commentating on Gingerdead Man 2, the Passion of the Crust.
That would be funny.
Whatever. Kudos to our cousin Cole. That was an excellent choice.
Yeah, good pick.
I don't think either one of us liked it. I think we had fun for the hour and 5-10 minutes that we saw watching it. I'm going to give it what I like to call my big glowing F, but with a smile. So it's an it's an F. I can't possibly give it anything higher than an F, but I put a little smiley face next to it saying it failed so miserably that I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 10.
A 3? Okay, all right.
Because I really did. Is it horrible? Yeah. Were there a million plot holes? Yeah. I laughed.
That's some bad acting.
I had a good chuckle, and it was only an hour and a half. So
yeah,
there you have it.
So yeah, that's what we do on the PGM podcast. You can make us watch something like that. I don't think I had ever heard of that. Please dig something out of the. Maybe it's something you watched when you were a kid. Maybe it's something you stumbled upon on some late night cable channel or Showtime 4 or something. Keep emailing us or sending us direct messages or put comments on the links on YouTube or TikTok and say, guys, please watch this. I beg of you. I don't want to be the only one who went through that pain. As we see movies, we look forward to what's coming up soon. Jackson, I think we're both excited about Bullet Train next week. That's going to be our big film that we're both going to see. Mm-hmm. That's the new Brad Pitt movie. Who directed Bullet Train? Can you get on that, young Jamie?
I can. I feel like
it's an Asian guy, an Asian director, possibly.
Oh, maybe not then.
But that's the big new film next week. We're both going to see Bullet Train.
Nope, it's David Leitch.
Oh,
or Leitch. I don't know
David
how you pronounce
Leitch.
that.
What else has he done? What would I know him from?
He has also. You might know him.
Sounds like
from,
a cameraman.
He did Deadpool 2.
Okay.
He did Atomic Blonde.
I liked Atomic Blonde.
Looks like he did Hobbs and Shaw. He's
did not
very
see.
very actiony guy.
Okay. Those aren't. Well, Atomic Blonde I thought was actually pretty good. So
I never saw it, but I did see Deadpool 2 and I did like it.
Yeah. So we're checking out Bullet Train. That will most likely probably be the only new movie that we see next week. But we'll make sure we get the review out for that one. What else is coming up that you want to see? The Black Panther trailer finally dropped. Are you impressed?
It did.
Are you impressed?
I love
the use of No Woman, No Cry. Oh, you know the plot? What do you mean you know the plot?
The plot leaked. I know it.
I
don't know the plot, but I know how they're going to deal with
the death of Black Panther.
The Chadwick Boseman not being. So kind of knowing that, it was interesting seeing how they did the trailer.
Okay. If you have that information and you watch the trailer, do you see like a scene where you go, I see how that's going to play out? Is it a little more obvious?
No, I don't mean I know how plot wise what's happening. I don't know. I'm trying not to spoil this without.
Let me ask you this: does the trailer excite you, even though you know the plot?
No.
Okay.
I didn't even. Look, I think that Black Panther had some great fight scenes in it. I wasn't crazy about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just so superheroed out, man. I can't.
I know.
I just can't. It's so. I feel like I'm overstimulated. It's like just so much happening.
Yeah. I can't keep track. It's too many worlds too, in the crossovers.
It really is. I'm just lost. I was doing really good up until Endgame with keeping up about all the superheroes.
Yeah.
Now they're just pulling out people. I'm like, I haven't even heard of you in common.
I don't know.
They ran out of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
we're getting into we're getting into the more, I guess, more niche to the common man.
What about John Wick? There's a fourth one coming out.
I am very. I can't not get enough of those movies.
Now you haven't seen the third one yet, though, have you? Or did you see all three?
I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did see all three.
The one with Halle Berry.
Is that the one where
Halle Berry? That's the one where he's with Halle Berry.
Maybe I didn't.
Yeah, I think you've only seen the first two.
I know the last one I watched ended with a big sword fight scene with like a famous martial artist. And there, all the screens were happening around him, and they're like the top of a tower.
I think that's number 2. Maybe it's 3. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. But you're looking forward to that one?
They're just fun. They're just a lot of fun to watch, and
he's
so. I love watching him.
He doesn't talk a lot, which is good. You want your Keanu Reeves very quiet. You don't
very
need
quiet. I am an FBI agent. None of that.
I love in the trailer for John Wick. If you haven't seen it, look at it. He really doesn't say anything the entire trailer, and at the end, Lawrence Fishburne is like holds up his suit and he's like, "Yeah. So John, let me ask you something. Are you ready? Are you ready to do this?" And he just turns and he just goes, "Yeah." Like that's it. That's enough. We don't need anything. monosyllabic.
Bought my ticket.
Keanu Reeves
Yeah.
is more than enough. I don't need anything. I don't need 2 syllables. I don't need
Yeah.
that.
Keep it simple.
How bad does Dungeons and Dragons look? Chris Pine, what is he thinking? Now I'm actually.
You know what's funny
What?
is I've seen a lot of people not a lot of people. I've seen people coming up my social media feed, like Dungeons and Dragons fans, and they're so excited for this thing.
Are they really?
It's like they've waited their whole lives for this. I'm like, why?
D&D movie.
Isn't the whole point of D&D to you make your own adventure? Isn't this
know.
kind of like?
I know. I didn't.
It's a little bit confusing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that Chris Pine is in one of the films that I least want to see, Dungeons and Dragons, and I do want to see him in Don't Worry, Darling, the one with Florence Pugh.
I'm really excited for that. Yeah.
And I like the new trailer for that one.
Not Olivia Colman. Olivia
Wilde. Olivia Wilde, Harry's girlfriend. Yeah. That looks good, and they dropped a new trailer that's a little more wicked and a little more spooky, which I like even better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of the trailers
Yeah,
that I
I'm very excited
know,
for that.
I showed you a bunch of trailers. I know one of the ones that you said I'm all over is the one that I have no idea what it's about.
Tar.
Is Tar with
I don't know what's happening,
Kate
but I'm ready.
Blanchett. Just smoke coming out of her mouth, and then it looks like she's a conductor. There's a part of me that wants to go online and go, what is that? What's it about? And there's a part of me that goes, nope, I don't want to know. Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'll go into that.
Just don't.
Simple enough to just make me go, oh wow, this is different.
Yeah.
So that looks really good. We got 2 cave movies happening.
I was gonna point that. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's and I almost went. Is this the same movie?
I thought so too. That's why I sent you the other one.
Because they have like the same shot where the guy pops up and he goes, "How many of you are they?" And they go, "There's 13 of us."
13.
And they're like, "Oh shit."
Right. So for those who don't know,
Yeah.
Ron Howard has made a big screen adaptation of the true story of those 13 people who got stuck in a cave and the rescuers who got them out. I started watching a trailer, and the name of the movie is called 13 Lives. It has Viggo Mortensen. It has Colin Farrell. It's a pretty
Colin
big cast.
Farrell, who by the way is one of my favorite actors. I freaking love Colin Farrell so much.
They're both great. I mean, Ron Howard's a little hit or miss with me. I hate all those Da Vinci Code movies, but God, he did Apollo 13 and Splash and a bunch of stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know. They did a movie a couple years ago about the guys who were caught in the coal mine. And I was like, no one really cared about that. I don't know if we're all going to care about the movie where they got caught in a cave. But suddenly I'm looking at trailers, and there's a movie called Cave Rescue. And I'm like, I'm watching. I'm like, I thought that was called 13 Lives. There's literally 2 movies, and one of them's not a doc. They're both, adaptations. They're not. They're actors. It's not. One's a documentary and one's a reenactment. I can't believe they're both coming out at the same time. And the one called Cave Rescue has no actors in it that I've recognized whatsoever.
Yeah, no.
None. So
yeah,
I feel bad for those guys who are like, oh, are you in the Ron Howard one or the one nobody's going to see?
Yeah, because look, when it comes down to it, I'm going to go see the one that has Viggo Mortensen and Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I think it's at the DGA this month, and I think Ron Howard's doing a Q&A afterwards, but only in New York, not in LA. So I think I'm sorry. Sorry to bring that to you. And
That's
then,
okay.
and I know how excited you are to see Shazam 2 and Halloween Ends.
I hated the first Shazam movie.
I hated the first.
Hated
could
it.
not. I'm telling you, viewers, right now, we are not going to see Shazam 2.
No.
I did not.
I couldn't care any less
Nope,
about
did not like the
that
first
movie,
one.
that universe.
Sorry, if that's the big movie opening that weekend, Jax and I are going to go back and watch.
Could not have been any less funny if it tried, and boy did it try.
I would watch Enter the Void again before I go to the Shazam 2.
You know what? I'm going to take that because that's the first positive thing you've ever said about that movie.
You're going to go with that. And are you excited to see how they wrap up the Halloween trilogy?
I didn't see Halloween Kills. I never saw the second one. I heard it was horrible, and I didn't go see it.
Yeah, it's wretched. But do you want to see how they finish it? How's it going to end? Jamie Lee Curtis fighting Michael?
Is this really the end of not Jason? Michael Myers?
Of course it must be. It ends. It's in the title.
It has to be.
It's
in
the
last
title.
one's in the title, damn it.
For God's sakes, it doesn't say almost ends. It doesn't have a question mark after it. It ends.
We'll see. I'll believe it when I see him going to the ground. I'm sure they've probably done that too.
15 years from now, there's a movie where she's fighting him in a wheelchair. She's like in an old folks home. She's like using her colostomy bag to bat him off or something.
Okay, but before we tap out, I got three more things to mention.
Yeah, please.
First one, me and my mom went to go see Raising Arizona in theaters. They had a special screening. They showed it on 35 millimeter. Fun. It just is the funniest movie ever made. It's so funny.
If we, and I think we'll explore. I think if we ever start doing like top 10 lists, maybe we'll do ones on slow weeks or months or something. Maybe we'll be like, hey, let's do our top 10, this, whatever. Spoiler alert. I'm telling you right now. If we ever do your 10 best comedies of all time, it starts right there. Number 1 for me. It's Raising Arizona. It's that good. Every scene, every line, every camera angle, every shot, everything about that film, in my opinion, is perfect.
It's so good.
There's not a moment of that film that I don't go, brilliance. And I've never, I still laugh my ass off at that film. It is, Was there,
Bill down at the mill? No, not Bill. Not Bill Howard. Not Bill Howard.
Well, what is it, son? Do you want us to put our hand to get on the ground, or do you want us to freeze?
Because if I get on the ground, I sure will not be frozen. If I'm,
oh my God, man, what happened to the tellers? You told us to get on the ground down here, sir.
That might be one of my favorite. Oh, God, it's just so good.
It's
son,
so good.
You got a panty. on your
Did the audience like it? Seeing it, you got a panty on your head. How did the audience react to it?
It got a lot of laughs. It did beforehand. Who's the comedian I told you who did a podcast?
Greg.
Some guy came out and did a podcast before the screening. What was his name again?
Greg Proops. Yeah, very funny.
Greg Proops did. He did kind of like a 30-minute like intro talking about the movie.
Yeah.
And he was hilarious. But he did a thing where he did like a raise your hand if you've never seen this movie before. It was about 50-50. Like
really?
most of the theater hadn't seen it before. So it was a lot of people's first experiences. And people seem to really like. I mean, it's the
best. It's the best.
It's the best. That was the first thing I had to say, by the way. Yeah.
Thank God we agree on that, because in all honesty, if you did not admire Raising Arizona as much as I do, I think this relationship would be over.
I was raised on that movie without ever seeing it.
That's
you
true.
Quoted it every second of my life.
Yeah, we are constantly quoting that film.
And we still do.
Mordecai's learning his ABCs. I love that. What were the other two things? You said it's something else.
Okay, the second thing was I'm going to go see tonight. I'm doing another Mike Lee movie. Last week I saw Meantime.
He's Mike Lee.
Though. Last week I saw Meantime for the second time. Very good. Not as good as I remember it being. I think after seeing Naked, I think that like held the standard up a little higher.
Here comes
but I'm seeing Career Girls tonight.
Career Girls tonight.
Career Girls tonight. Very excited for that.
Who's in Career Girls?
That was second.
Bunch of British people, right?
It's the same girl who was in Naked, who kind of plays like I'll say the love interest loosely, but it's not that kind of movie.
Yeah.
It is. I'll tell you right now, starring. That's the wrong movie.
Career Girls. I always get that mixed up with Calendar Girls, or that one where all those old British broads were like getting naked for a calendar. I don't know why.
Katrin Cartledge.
Yeah.
Katrine Cartledge.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I don't know. She was great in Naked, but no one else I recognize.
Was she naked in Naked?
She was naked and Naked.
All right. Well, let me know if she's naked in Career Girls. Does she play a prostitute? Is it about whores? What is it about?
In Naked or in Career Girls?
Career Girls. That sounds like it's about prostitutes.
No,
what's your career?
It's not.
No,
it's not. I looked at the thing. It was like working class women, I think. But
gotcha. All right. Well, enjoy.
That's the first thing. The third thing.
Uh-oh.
I will be seeing Everything Ever All at Once for a fifth time.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Oh, you're going tomorrow?
They're re-releasing it with 8 minutes of bonus content, and I just have to see it as many times as I can in theaters, because once it leaves, I don't know if I'll ever get to have that theater experience again. Probably will.
Will you be disappointed if the 8 minutes of footage that they put back at the end of the day, you go, you know what? There's a reason why it didn't. Like, if you go, it didn't need.
I think I'd be happier. I think I'd be happier if I thought that, because if they left it out and it made it better, I'd probably be like, oh, well, what the hell? Like, what was that for? But if I go, you know what? There was some cute moments, but nothing needed. I think I'll feel better and be like, oh, they made some good.
They were smart to cut. They were smart to cut that out. It was interesting to see it, but it was smart to cut it.
I think I've heard it's a lot more Jenny Slate stuff, because her character did get cut down a lot more. So I think it's a lot more of stuff with her. I saw one scene where she's playing, like, she kind of is doing the Marcel voice with, like, a side character, like a noodle.
Oh, really?
In an alternate universe where, like, Michelle Yeoh is going through the rounds and she gets in, like, a world where everyone's noodles or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
We'll see.
Jenny Slate from Marcella Shell, a movie that we both really, really, really enjoyed. Didn't quite love. Next week, however, we're going to find out if we really, really, really liked or hated or loved or ambivalent about Brad Pitt in Bullet Train. We also have a special surprise for you that I am not going to give any teasers about. Let's just say that worlds will collide. And also, it is my choice of a film.
I was going to say.
Yes, we're back to the top of the month. So this is a classic film that is
Ready to write it down?
people seem to have enjoyed at one point when it was first released. It did very well. I'm going completely off track here this week. First off, I think we needed a comedy. I felt like I hadn't picked.
That's a good play.
Yeah,
call.
We've had some heavy movies. We haven't really had a comedy since I picked The Apartment back with Jack Lemmon. And I also said, you know what? Let's get a little more modern. And I also wanted to get a little more from, what are the two white guys going to pick? You know, it's another movie about white people. I never saw the 1995 comedy starring Ice Cube and Chris Tucker called Friday. It was directed by...
I have not seen that either.
I know you haven't. That's why I picked it. It's directed by F. Gary Gray, a fantastic movie director. He did Straight Outta Compton, which I loved. He did The Italian Job, which was a great heist film. The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson, I loved. He's a really accomplished film director. But this was his foray into comedy. It kind of put him on the map. It was a big enough film, a huge box office hit that spawned a sequel next Friday. But this is the original. It just was probably under my radar in 1995 and did not catch my attention, even though I heard
the only thing I know about this movie is that it's where like that clip of them both going like, damn.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know.
I know there's a lot of guys sitting on porches and talking the talk. So I thought we'd go back and look at that one. It's something a little lighter. So next week, we will break down the classic Friday. Does it hold up? Maybe we'll look at it and go, was this ever funny? Or maybe it still is. I can tell you this, it will not be Raising Arizona.
It just won't.
Because
it won't be.
As much as I may or may not enjoy Friday, there's no way it could live up to that. Bullet Train, Friday. Maybe we'll hear something about the 8 minutes added on to Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm going to try to get out. Maybe I'll go see Fire of Love or finally finish A Face in the Crowd. There's a Tim Roth movie out there I might check out. Who knows what we'll be doing next week here on the PGN podcast. Jackson is going to yet another art house screening this evening because he has no life. And I only say that because I'm jealous because he has more life than I will ever. I need to get out more. No,
You get out. You get out.
I get out a little bit.
You get out. Yeah, you get out a little bit.
I get out a little bit. I don't know. Will we ever get tired of talking about movies? Maybe we'll make it a food podcast. What if one week we just got on and went, Jackson?
That would be, you know why that would be the worst? Because
Why?
I'm such a picky eater. It would be the most boring thing ever.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, what did you get at this restaurant? I'd be like, oh, I got a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And then that would be that would be every week. Would be just me going and getting the most simple plate.
I tell you this, and you never believe me, but I'm telling you, one day a woman is going to change all of that.
I hope so, because I hate being like this.
Well, you have to be more bold. When you go to a place that has lots of things you haven't tried, you can't go, here's my thing. What is the chicken dish you have? Or can I have the steak?
Usually, I would agree with you.
Right.
But when you don't have money, every meal is like, okay, I need to be... When you're going out, it's like, okay, let me... No. Because if I'm spending money, I want to get something that I know I'm going to like, even if it's not done well.
But even when you go out with us, we'll go someplace and we'll get something different, and then you'll be like...
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right, so Jax and I are heading out to dinner tonight. We're going to have steak tartare, sushi rolls...
Calamari.
Everything that you've never, ever had before. I hope everyone is excited about next week's episode. I know I am. It's going to be different. That's all we're saying. That's it. That's just a tease. It's a tease. It's a tease.
It's just a tease. It's just a tease.
It's just a
Don't
tease.
Be too worried.
Please follow Jackson Burns, my son, on Instagram and TikTok at Jackson Burns. Is that correct? You can follow
Instagram and Twitter.
And Twitter. You can follow me on the Instagram at Regan. That's REGAN .Burns. And by all means, please follow the PGN podcast on Instagram, TikTok, subscribe on YouTube, listen on Spotify, give us good reviews, and spread the word. I promise you, next week's episode will be so much better. And I apologize for this one in advance. Love you, buddy.
Love you too.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.